Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning for another news update for Friday, October 24, 2025. And in the news this morning, emergency protocols activated as Melissa inches towards Jamaica. Tropical storm Melissa continued its slow, relentless march towards Jamaica on Thursday, prompting the government to implement further emergency preparations as the island braced for nature's looming fury. During a mid-morning news conference at Jamaica House, Meteorological Service of Jamaica Weather Service Manager Rohan Brown said that the tropical storm conditions are likely within 36 hours and hurricane conditions are possible within the next 48 hours, as Melissa is still evolving and could intensify into a major hurricane while positioned south of Jamaica this weekend. Emergency protocols have been fully activated at the island's international airport. Public hospitals entered emergency mode. Jamaica Public Service Company said it has adopted a new game-changing incident command structure aimed at delivering faster and safer power restoration, while other major utilities, Flow, Digicel, and the National Water Commission have declared full readiness. Patterson and Golding among former prime ministers concerned about U.S. military action in Caribbean region. Former Prime Ministers P.J. Patterson and Bruce Golding are among a group of ex-heads of government in the Caribbean who have expressed a concern about the military buildup of the United States in the region, urging a pullback to avoid any undermining of peace, stability, and development in the space. In a joint statement, the former prime ministers said that they felt a need to make public their apprehension about the increased military security buildup and the presence of nuclear vessels and aircraft within the Caribbean archipelago, arguing that this has the potential to pull the region into conflicts that are not of its making. The other leaders are Baldwin Spencer from Antigua and Barbuda, Belize's Said Musa and Dean Barrow, Frundle Stewart of Barbados, Dominica's Edinson James, Grenada's Tillman Thomas, Donald Romatar of Guyana, and Kenny Anthony of St. Lucia. The former leader stated that having a zone of peace has long been a cornerstone in the architect of Caribbean sovereignty and the axis of the region's relationship with the countries in the hemisphere, Europe, and the wider world. Our region has maintained that established international law and the conventions rather than war and military might should prevail in finding solutions to seemingly intraceable problems, the statement read. It said that throughout the years, Caribbean nations have espoused and practiced the fundamental premise of the United Nations Charter that all disputes can and must be resolved through negotiations and dialogue. In noting their grave concern, the former leaders asserted that the pillars of the Caribbean as a zone of peace, the unequivocal support for the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of nations in the community, respect for the global order where international law prevails, and the belief that conflicts or disputes should be settled by diplomatic engagement and dialogue, which were recently reaffirmed by present leaders, still constitute the fundamental tenets of the region. We urge adherence to this exercise of our collective sovereignty to avoid endangering our citizens in any crossfire or suffering collateral damage and economic harm, the statement said, adding that the safety and the security of the Caribbean Sea and the territorial integrity of small states are of inestimable value. The former leader said that of immediate relevance and overarching significance is the shipwrighter agreement with the United States, which was concluded after intense and delicate negotiations. The former leader said that of immediate relevance and overarching significance is the shipwrighter agreement with the United States, which was concluded after intense and delicate negotiations. During 52 years of its existence, leaders of our community have never wavered in their total commitment to the rule of law and resilience on the provisions of the UN Charter, which forbid the threat or use of force against the territorial integrity or political independence of any state, they said. The statement from the former leaders comes in light of the recent blowing up of vessels in the Caribbean region by the U.S., which America said was being done because the vessels were transporting drugs. The former leaders said that preserving the Caribbean space as an established zone of peace is for them a vital imperative. The gravity of present signals demands that we use all existing channels for dialogue to perpetuate a zone of peace on the edifice of respect for our sovereignty, international conventions, and the rule of law. We therefore fully support the preparedness of our leaders of the Caribbean community to assist in resolving all conflicts and disputes by constructive dialogue. We therefore fully support the preparedness of the leaders of the Caribbean community to assist in the peaceful resolution of all conflicts and disputes, to maintain the rule of law and strengthen security within our region in the spirit of the friendly relations that exist between the community and their hemispheric neighbors. Our shared history and a common interest demand oneness, they said. Jamaica customs locations, except at the airports, closed on Friday. The Jamaica Customs Agency is advising that all its offices, except those at the island's airports, will be closed on Friday, October 24, in light of the pending passage of Tropical Storm Melissa. The agency is urging persons to take all necessary precautions and to keep abreast of updates from official sources of government. It is also encouraging stakeholders to stay informed via its official communication channels at jca.gov.jm, its social media platforms, as well as the respective media outlets for further updates. Pregnant women in Westmoreland close to delivery date urged to relocate. Pregnant women in Westmoreland who are close to delivery are encouraged to relocate nearer to medical facilities as a precautionary measure ahead of Tropical Storm Melissa. Health Promotion and Education Officer for Westmoreland, Gerald Miller, said women who are within 1 month of their due date should make early arrangements to stay with a family or friends who live close to medical facilities. This is important because if there is a need for you to be admitted for delivery during this time, you need to be closer to the hospital, he implored. Miller said the advisory is part of the Ministry of Health and Wellness's wider effort to safeguard the vulnerable groups as the island remains under a tropical storm watch. He also cautioned the residents to avoid walking through puddles of floodwaters after the storm, as this could expose them to leptospirosis, a disease spread through contact with water contaminated by animal urine. The bacterium can enter your body through the skin, especially if you have abrasions or bruises, Miller warned. He further reminded residents to remain alert in areas known to be crocodile habitats, particularly after periods of heavy rainfall and flooding. Be mindful of areas where crocodiles are found because they may view you as a threat. We want persons to pay keen attention to these safety messages, Mr. Miller said. Tropical Storm Melissa has prompted nationwide preparedness efforts with emergency shelters activated, flood-prone areas being monitored, and health and safety advisories issued across all parishes. Citizens are encouraged to stay tuned to official bulletins from the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, and the local health authorities. Truck driver charged for chopping motorist with machete during argument following crash. A truck driver has been charged for using a machete to chop another motorist several times during an argument that developed following a collision involving the two in Linstead St. Catherine on Wednesday. Charged with wounding with intent is 48-year-old Roger Johnson of Rose Hall District in Linstead. Reports from the police are that about 9:30 a.m., Johnson was traveling in his community when he and another man had a traffic collision. After the collision, an argument developed between the two, which led to Johnson using a machete to inflict chop wounds to the man's head, face, and hands, according to the police. A report was made to the police and an investigation was launched. Johnson was subsequently arrested and charged later that day. His court date is being finalized. PSOJ looking into CMEX payment to JLP. The private sector organization of Jamaica has indicated that CMEX's payment to the governing Jamaica Labour Party has reignited concerns around the campaign financing. "We are looking at it," said the PSOJ president, Mitri Siaga, in an initial response to queries. However, the organization head declined to provide further details at this time. "I would prefer not to comment just yet," he added. It is widely understood that larger companies contribute to both major political parties in Jamaica, though such donations are often kept out of the public eye. The renewed scrutiny follows a request from the opposition People's National Party on Wednesday seeking answers from the JLP. As of publication, the news has not received a response from the ruling party. CMEX, the ultimate parent company of Caribbean Cement, recently amended a filing with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The original disclosure, dated September 29, listed a payment of over US $201,500 to the JLP, described as a fee on the payment to government for the year 2024. The amount equates to the sum of Jamaican $32 million. In an amended filing submitted on October 1, CMEX revised the entry. On Monday, Caribbean Cement Company Limited confirmed that it has made voluntary contributions to both major political parties in Jamaica, adding that these contributions were made in accordance with applicable local laws, regulations, and best practices. The development has prompted renewed calls for transparency and reform in Jamaica's political financing landscape. Guys, thanks for watching. Please join us this afternoon at 2 p.m. for another news update.